12 key affirmations. The truth is you've been misled. They told you success is only for the lucky ones, for people with money, or for those born with some kind of gift. But the real story? It's completely different. What separates people who live extraordinary lives from those who are just getting by are the words they repeat to themselves every single day. So let me ask you, how many times have you held yourself back without even noticing? It happens in the quiet moments of the mind, when you say things like, "I'm not good enough. This probably isn't for me. Who am I to think I can do this?" They sound harmless, don't they? But those phrases silently train your brain to expect failure every single day. Now here's the thing. There's another way. A simple, powerful, often forgotten path. The power of conscious affirmations. And no, I'm not talking about cheesy self-help quotes. I'm talking about mental commands. Instructions you give your mind that can reshape how you see the world, change the way you act, and build a foundation of either your success or your failure. Science has already proven it. What you believe shapes how you live, and what you repeat becomes what you believe. That's why in this video, you're going to discover 12 of the most powerful affirmations that can literally change the way you think, the way you move, and the way you achieve your goals. These aren't random feel-good lines. They are core principles used by people who break the mold, create real results, and turn every challenge into fuel. And the best part? You can start using them today, right now. But be warned, this might go against everything you've heard your whole life. It will challenge your beliefs. It will push you out of your comfort zone. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly why it works so well. I am capable of achieving anything I set my mind to. I focus on my unlimited potential and take action without mental limits. He believed it was possible, and it was. That's the difference between those who try and those who make it happen. Most people, sadly, go through life with their minds chained by doubt, fear, and the false idea that they're not capable. But here's a truth that can flip that switch for good. You are capable of achieving anything you commit to with conviction. This isn't magic. It's not wishful thinking. It's the result of a mindset that's been strengthened by positive affirmations and backed by disciplined action. The problem has never been a lack of ability. The problem is believing you don't have it. Let me tell you about a young woman named Clara. She decided to learn programming from scratch. No college degree, no English, didn't even know what HTML meant. But she believed. Every day, she'd look in the mirror and say, "I am capable." She studied at night, made a ton of mistakes, but she kept going. Eventually, she graduated, landed her first remote job. Today, she works for a startup in Germany, not because she was a genius, but because she built self-confidence, persistence, and most of all, personal responsibility. See, when someone decides they want to change their life, they have to start at the root, their thoughts, because thoughts shape the world around us. And when you keep telling yourself things like, "I can't," "This isn't for me," or "I'm not good enough," you start building invisible walls. And the only way to break those walls is with discipline, focus, and the daily repetition of empowering affirmations. A new inner vocabulary creates a new way of seeing the world. And when your vision changes, your destiny does too. Now remember, unlimited potential doesn't mean perfection. It means possibility. You don't need to be excellent right now. You just need to be committed to growing. Constantly. Read books like You Can Work Your Own Miracles or The Power of Positive Mental Attitude. Watch content that lifts you up. Replace empty scrolling with just 30 minutes of daily learning. Make it a habit. Make it sacred. And don't fool yourself. There will be hard days. Days when nothing seems to work. But in those exact moments, that's when you need to say with confidence, "I am capable of achieving anything I decide to." And when you truly believe it, something powerful starts to shift inside you. And that's when we begin to talk about the one thing no one can buy back. Time. Today is the best day to start. I let go of procrastination. The moment is now. There are people who keep saying, "I'll start when everything is just right." But here's an uncomfortable truth. That perfect moment, it never comes. The only real moment you have is now. And now is when everything begins. Procrastination is one of the most dangerous habits because it hides behind logic. I'll wait till Monday. I need to prepare more. It's not the ideal time yet. But deep down, it's fear. Fear of failing. Fear of not being good enough. And the antidote to that fear is simple. Immediate action. You want to change your life? Start. Even if you're not 100% ready. It's like someone who wants to start running, but says they'll only go when they have the right shoes, the perfect app, the new headphones. And guess what? They never go. Meanwhile, someone else grabs their old flip-flops, throws on a worn-out t-shirt, and runs 5K every day. 3 months later, they're lighter, stronger, more confident. That's the power of today. Discipline, focus, and daily motivation aren't born in comfort. They come from the decision to take action, even without perfect conditions. Brian Tracy used to say, "Eat that frog." In other words, do the thing you've been avoiding. If you want to start a business, look up a name, buy the domain, create an Instagram page. If you want to take care of your health, start with water, a light walk, swap dessert for a piece of fruit. Small steps taken today are worth more than big promises made for someday, because someday almost never comes. And what doesn't begin never grows. Personal growth requires presence. In the present, don't wait to feel motivated before you begin. Motivation comes from action, not the other way around. Once you take that first step, your brain gets a message. We're serious about this. And that's when everything starts to shift. Repeating, "Today is the best day to start," isn't just a nice phrase. It's a daily reminder that time doesn't wait. And if you wait too long, life moves on without you. Say it to yourself every single day until it becomes your inner truth. Because when you finally understand that now is all you've really got, you stop living with desperation and start living with urgency. Urgency to grow. Urgency to move forward. Urgency to make the most of the time you've been given. And in that movement, something interesting begins to happen. I'm grateful for everything I have and everything I am. Gratitude shifts my perspective and attracts abundance. You've probably seen it before. Those moments when everything seems to be falling apart, and yet someone still smiles and says, "I'm just grateful to be alive." That's not naivety. That's emotional strength, sharpened over time. Gratitude is one of the most powerful tools a person can develop. It shifts your focus from what's missing to what's already here. And when you change your focus, you change your frequency. Grateful people don't attract misery. They attract abundance. They attract personal growth. They attract peace. It's funny how, in the middle of our daily rush, we forget to appreciate the simplest things. A body that works, a bed that welcomes us at night, a warm cup of coffee in the morning. This isn't about religion. It's about mindset. When you focus on what you have, instead of constantly complaining about what you don't, you start to see opportunities where before you only saw problems. Daily motivation begins with the awareness that you already have enough to start, even if you don't have it all yet. Practicing gratitude is like sharpening your mind. One simple but powerful habit is keeping a gratitude journal. Every morning when you wake up, or every night before bed, write down 3 things you're thankful for. It could be something like, my health, my job, a friend who called me today. And in just a short time, you'll start to feel real change inside. Less anxiety, more clarity, more lightness in how you face the day. And from that space comes room to grow, more self-confidence, more persistence, more purpose-driven action. Because here's the thing, it's impossible to feel truly grateful and still live as a victim. Gratitude kills victimhood because it puts you in the driver's seat of your own life. When you say, "I'm grateful for everything I am," you reconcile with yourself. And that reconciliation, it releases energy. Energy that can and should be channeled into your success. Grateful people tend to be healthier. They bounce back faster. They build deeper relationships. But more than that, gratitude prepares you for what's coming. Because only those who value the little are truly ready to receive the much. Only those who honor the present moment are ready to grow into the future. And it's exactly in this shift, when you learn to recognize and appreciate what you already have, that the door opens to something greater. Every day is a new opportunity to grow, improve, and get closer to the best version of myself. Every action brings me closer to success. Every new day brings with it a silent choice to repeat what you've always been, or to build what you still have the potential to become. Sounds simple, but it's powerful. The truth is, most people underestimate the impact of a single day. They think they need some magical turnaround, some life-changing event. But real change, it lives in the small daily decisions, the ones no one sees. Because that's where personal growth happens. That's where development starts. That's the true path to success. Picture an ordinary man working in an office Monday to Friday who decides to wake up 1 hour earlier every day to study English. 1 year later, he's fluent. 2 years later, he's applying for international jobs. He didn't change his life overnight. He changed it gradually through action, discipline, and focus. Each small effort was a brick in the foundation of his new life. And you can do the same with what you have. Exactly where you are, the best version of you won't come flying in on a helicopter. It'll show up on the days you resist laziness, on the days you read one more chapter, when you choose to eat better, to listen more, to speak less. That version of you is always ahead, waiting to be reached. And every time you take one step toward it, you get just a little bit closer. It's the compound effect. Consistency, every single day, even in the smallest steps. A lot of people want to change their lives, but only when they have time. But time is what you create when you make something a priority. So why not start with just 20 minutes of reading a day? I suggest Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. It's a wake-up call in the best possible way. Or go for a 30-minute walk. No phone. Just you, your thoughts, and a mental blueprint for your next move. Because every action matters. Every choice, no matter how small, adds to your success story. And once you realize that every day counts, you begin to see life differently. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow isn't promised. But today is a blank page. And when you write on it with courage, you begin to feel the strength you already carry inside you. And speaking of strength, there's something even more powerful than just positive thinking. My thoughts are powerful, my actions are decisive, and my discipline makes me unstoppable. I think big and act with focus. Your mind is like fertile soil. Whatever you plant in it will grow. If you plant doubt, you'll harvest insecurity. But if you plant courage, you'll harvest results. Powerful thoughts create powerful realities, and that's where many people get lost. They think positive thinking alone is enough. It's not. You need to think clearly, decide boldly, and act with unshakable discipline. That combination is what separates dreamers from doers. Take a moment and reflect. How many times have you had a great idea, but let it fade away because you overthought it, or waited for someone else's approval? The people who get things done understand the power of fast, focused action. They make mistakes. They adjust. They learn. And they keep going. They don't get stuck in the what-ifs. They jump into let's see what happens. When you combine a big mindset with practical action, you become truly unstoppable. Think about the great names in history. None of them succeeded on talent alone. Yes, they had vision, but they also had non-negotiable habits. Steve Jobs was obsessed with focus. Elon Musk runs on brutal discipline. Oprah Winfrey has fed her mind with affirmations since the very start of her career. These people know that elevated thoughts, paired with bold actions, shape destinies. And you can apply this to, want to change something in your life? Create a simple 90-day plan. Clear, focused, with daily tasks you actually stick to. And don't underestimate the power of habit. Start a morning routine where you state your goals, read for 20 minutes, move your body, and write down what needs to get done that day. Too simple? That's exactly why it works. Because it works in silence. No spotlight, no applause, and it's in that silence that real growth begins. You build consistency, and consistency builds results. So, the next time someone tells you you think too much, just smile. Thinking isn't the problem. Thinking without action is, because thoughts are your map, but actions are your steps. And only those who move forward with purpose reach their destination. Now, speaking of steady movement, there's a kind of strength that's not always visible, but it quietly changes everything behind the scenes. There is no challenge that can stop me. I carry within me the creativity and persistence to overcome anything. Life has a way of testing anyone who says they want to win. Obstacles show up, doors close, the ground disappears beneath your feet. But here's the truth. You are never tested beyond what you can handle. Inside you, right now, even if you don't feel it, is everything you need to face any challenge. Creativity, persistence, strength. The secret is to stop seeing the problem as a monster and start seeing it for what it really is. A teacher. Picture an entrepreneur who tried to launch a business and failed. Not once, not twice, 3 times. But he kept going. He learned to listen better, studied digital marketing, found mentors, changed his approach. Today, he runs his own successful company. What changed? Not the world. He did. He realized that persistence breaks resistance. It's not about being stubborn. It's about understanding that falling is part of the process. Overcoming doesn't mean you win every time. It means you get back up every time you fall. It's easy to quit when everything goes wrong. But remember this, your biggest breakthroughs often come right after your hardest falls. And it's in those moments, when things feel the hardest, that you need to turn on your creative mindset. Ask yourself, how can I use this to my advantage? The right question changes everything. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Try asking, what is this here to teach me? That one shift takes you out of the victim mindset and puts you back in control. Here's the good news. This ability to overcome can be trained. Here's a practical tool. Use what I call the reverse scenario technique. Anytime you face a problem, imagine the worst case outcome. Then ask yourself, what would I do to turn that around? It forces your creativity into action and shrinks your fear. Because fear is a giant that only grows in the dark. Bring it into the light. Write it down. Face it. Solve it. That's how real resilience is built. By people who decide they're not going to stop. And when you realize that nothing can truly stop you, that everything is solvable, adaptable, and overcomeable, something powerful is born inside you. A quiet kind of strength. One that doesn't need to shout because it acts. And that strength only shows up when you finally understand that there's one thing no one can ever take from you, your responsibility. I am 100% responsible for my life, my results, and my destiny. I am the owner of my choices and actions. Taking full responsibility is a line that separates living like a victim from living as the author of your own story. It's easy to point fingers. Blame the government. Blame your parents. Blame your school, your ex, your boss. But nothing truly changes until you have the courage to say, my life is mine. And once you really understand what that means, everything shifts. Because when you take ownership, you stop waiting. You stop depending. You start acting with confidence and clarity. Want a simple, practical exercise? Grab a sheet of paper. Write down everything you usually complain about. Now, next to each one, write what you could do to improve it. It might sting a little, but it'll open your eyes. Because here's the hard truth. If you keep outsourcing your failures, you'll keep outsourcing your results. And the consequence of that? Living a small, reactive life with no sense of control. Discipline, action, and a positive mindset only grow when you put yourself at the center of your own transformation. Now, don't get me wrong. This doesn't mean everything depends solely on you. It means you're the only one responsible for how you react, how you show up, how you turn what happens to you into what moves you forward. Want proof? Some people grow up in poverty and become global leaders. Others are born with every advantage and go nowhere. What's the difference? Personal responsibility. When you stop blaming the world and start asking, what can I do right now? That's when the wheel starts turning. It's a power few people use. Because taking responsibility requires courage. But here's the reward. Freedom. Freedom to change direction. Freedom to create new habits. Freedom to build a brand new path from the ground up. That's personal growth at the highest level. It's knowing that no matter what the circumstances are, your response shapes your destiny. And those who act with focus act with purpose. And those with purpose move the world. And here's the interesting part. Once you accept this truth, you begin to see that the everyday challenges, the ones that felt way too big, are actually opportunities to grow, to learn, and to rise. And it's exactly at this point, when you become the captain of your own soul, that you start to see each day through new eyes. Every day I have a chance to grow, learn, and evolve. I face every challenge with courage and turn every obstacle into a stepping stone to success. Here's the truth. Life doesn't go easy on anyone, but it's also true that every single day, you wake up with a brand new chance in your hands. And that alone is already a gift too valuable to waste. The big shift happens when you stop seeing challenges as roadblocks and start seeing them as steps. Every problem that shows up is actually a live, hands-on class in personal growth. And those who are willing to learn from life level up faster. Let's talk real-life examples. How many people do you know who grew the most after going through a major loss or crisis? Some discovered their true calling after being laid off. Others only understood the value of their health after getting sick. That's not luck. That's not chance. That's the power of a transformational mindset. Challenges push us out of autopilot. They force us to use both our minds and our hearts. And when you face them with courage, you start clearing the path to something greater. But it's not just about facing things. You have to transform them. An obstacle only becomes a stepping stone when you make the choice to learn from it. And that brings us to the magic word, learn. If something knocked you down, ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? Is it showing you that you need to be more emotionally resilient, more disciplined, more mindful of the people around you? Everything teaches, if you have the eyes to see it. What used to feel like pain becomes growth. And you can apply this today. Right now, take a current challenge, something that's been keeping you up at night. Instead of avoiding it or complaining about it, sit down with a pen and paper and write, how can I grow from this? You might realize you need to learn more about finances, or that it's time to improve how you communicate. Maybe you need to be more assertive or a little more flexible. The point is, every challenge is a lesson disguised as pain. And those who learn move forward. Those who shut down repeat the same story. The more you make this a habit, the stronger you become, not because problems disappear, but because you become unshakable. And a human being who is strengthened, grounded in a growth mindset, becomes unstoppable because they understand something powerful. It's not just about winning, it's about evolving. And speaking of evolution, there's something even deeper that fuels the journey of anyone who's committed to achieving something meaningful. My potential is unlimited, and every day I move forward with discipline and focus toward my dreams. Nothing and no one can stop me, because I choose to keep going. You know, that kind of person who seems to carry an invisible strength, a steady gaze, like they know exactly where they're headed? That person wasn't born with a special gift. They simply made a decision to believe in their unlimited potential. And that's not arrogance. That's clarity of purpose. A deep commitment to their own dreams, an unshakable certainty that nothing and no one is going to stop them, not because the world makes it easy, but because they've decided to keep going no matter what. That's the difference between trying and insisting, between dreaming and doing. People who understand the power of discipline and daily focus turn their goals into routine. It's like building a skyscraper, one brick at a time. You don't raise it overnight, but you move forward every day, even when it feels like nothing's changing. Want real-life examples? Artists who train for years before getting recognized. Athletes who repeat the same move thousands of times. Ordinary people who start from zero, selling cakes, crafts, digital services, and build something big. Success doesn't shout. It whispers to those who are willing to listen every single day. And listening to that whisper takes persistence, because challenges will keep showing up. They'll try to knock you down, distract you, drain your energy. But when you know your worth, you learn to say, I keep going, even without applause, even without guarantees. And here's one of the greatest lessons in life. What you repeat, you become. So if you repeat positive affirmations like, I am capable, I am strong, I am resilient, your mind starts to work in your favor. It begins to believe. And once your mind believes, your body follows. A great practice is to create your own personal mantra based on your goals. Something like, every day, with discipline and focus, I move closer to my purpose. Say it out loud, in the car, in the mirror, while you walk. Make it a sacred ritual. It aligns your thoughts and keeps you anchored to your journey. Because the journey isn't about the finish line. It's about the person you become along the way. And the more you walk, the smaller the impossible becomes in the rear-view mirror. And then, in that flow state, where you act with courage, consistency, and faith, something inside you shifts. You stop being someone who just plans and become someone who takes action. And in that action, you discover a new version of yourself. One that doesn't wait for things to happen, but takes control and makes them happen. And speaking of control, there's something even more powerful, something that governs both internal and external success. I am a person of action. I make decisions, move forward without fear, and turn every challenge into an opportunity to grow and succeed. Nothing replaces the power of action. You can have the best plans, the sharpest mindset, the clearest vision, but if you don't act, all of it dies on paper. Great ideas only change the world when they leave your mind and turn into movement. And this is where most people get stuck. They wait for courage. They wait for approval. They wait for the perfect conditions. But real achievers don't wait. They decide. They get up, take action, make mistakes, learn, and keep going. Because doing something is always better than doing nothing. Being a person of action doesn't mean running around without direction. It means making intentional decisions and moving with focus and discipline. It's like a game of mental chess. You don't move all the pieces at once, but you move the right piece at the right time every single day. Want to start a business? Begin with your MVP, your minimum viable product. Want to improve your health? Start with 15 minutes of exercise. Want to increase your income? Build a skill and sell it. Video editing, writing, Canva design, paid traffic. What matters most is starting and adjusting along the way. And yes, you'll make mistakes. You'll trip. You'll doubt yourself. But mistakes are part of the path, not the end. Those who take action learn. Those who only think get stuck. That's why you need to tell yourself every day, I am a person of action. Say it before applying to that message you've been avoiding. Say it before making that tough decision. Say it when you feel stuck. Because daily motivation doesn't come from positive thinking alone. It comes from momentum that only action creates. A body in motion pushes the mind to keep going. Jim Rohn used to say, life doesn't get better by chance. It gets better by change. And change comes from action. That means the power is already in your hands. Not in your past, not in other people, and definitely not in luck. Action transforms. Action builds. Action heals. In fact, many people overcome anxiety, procrastination, and fear, not by thinking more, but by doing more. Small steps. Every day. That's what puts you in the game of those who make things happen. And the beautiful part? With time, action becomes habit. Deciding becomes your default. Living with intention becomes your lifestyle. And when you live like that, you turn every challenge into a bridge to the next level. And once you reach that level, you realize something even deeper. It all begins where it matters most, inside your mind. I have full control over my mind, my emotions, and my actions. I choose to focus on the positive, learn from every experience, and move forward with discipline and determination toward my dreams. Most people don't realize it, but the greatest battlefield in life isn't out there, not in the streets, not in business, not even in crisis. It's in your mind. That's where dreams are born or buried. That's where courage grows or doubt takes over. And that's why understanding that you have full control over your mind, your emotions, and your actions is like finding a key that opens every door to your destiny. You can't control everything that happens to you, but you can absolutely control how you respond to it. And that changes everything. How many times have you been pulled down by a negative thought? A harsh comment? A rough day? It's normal. It happens. But the difference between those who move forward and those who freeze comes down to one thing: how quickly they take back control, how fast they refocus. Take a breath and ask, does this bring me closer or further away from what I really want? That kind of self-awareness, it can be trained, and you train it through simple, powerful habits: meditation, reflective journaling, quality reading. Need a suggestion? Your Right to Be Rich or The Lost Manuscript, Laws of Triumph and Success by Napoleon Hill. Pure gold. You can also build emotional strength with micro-challenges. When you feel angry, right before reacting. When you feel fear, take a 10-minute walk without your phone and reflect. When you feel like giving up, listen to something inspiring and repeat your affirmations out loud. This isn't magic. It's neuroscience. The more you train your mind, the stronger the neural pathways become that support confidence, resilience, and clarity. And here's the most important part. Taking control doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you feel and move forward anyway. The world might try to distract you with chaos, pressure, noise, but you learn how to return to your center, to your intention. You choose to face forward with discipline and determination, even when you're challenged on the inside. That's real strength. That's personal growth at its core. And in that state of elevated awareness, when you become the true leader of your own life, a new certainty is born. If everything starts inside, then nothing on the outside can stop you. And that's when you realize what stands between you and your dreams isn't the world. It's the mental walls you still allow. And that leads us to one final truth. Simple, yet brutally powerful. There are no limits to what I can achieve. With effort, perseverance, and the right mindset, every goal I set is fully within reach. This is one of those truths that everyone hears, but very few actually believe. There are no limits to what you can accomplish. Yes, it sounds bold. Yes, it might seem exaggerated. But when you look at the lives of people who broke through barriers, you realize something powerful. It wasn't about talent. It wasn't about money. It wasn't luck. It was mindset. These were people who believed, even when no one else did. People who refused to take no as the final answer. People who used every fall as momentum to rise even higher. Want to know the formula? It's no secret. Consistent effort, blind perseverance, unshakable belief in yourself. That's what turns even the most distant dream into a reachable reality. Take Thomas Edison. He failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. 1,000 times. But to him, each failure was just one less step toward success. He knew he'd get there. Why? Because he understood something most people never do. Success is a daily decision, not a prize handed out by fate. Now think about your own life. How many times have you given up on something just because it felt too hard? And what if you had kept going? Maybe by now, you'd already be living the rewards of your persistence. Because most of the time, what's missing isn't ability, it's consistency. That's why daily motivation, combined with discipline, creates giants. And I'm not talking about huge accomplishments the world applauds. I'm talking about your victories, your success, because success is personal. It's about achieving what matters to you, whether that's stability, freedom, recognition, or impact. And yes, some people will say, it's too hard. No one's ever done it. It's impossible. But you're not here to repeat stories. You're here to write your own. Your story doesn't have to follow the script of the average. With the right words, the right habits, and the right mindset, everything becomes possible. Because the only real limit is you. And that you can change starting today. So take a deep breath and say it out loud. There are no limits to what I can achieve. Feel those words. Let them sink in. They're not just motivational fluff. They're a daily reminder that you are capable. You are strong. You are ready. And the more you repeat that, the more something inside you begins to shift. That's when it all starts to make sense. Now that you've heard the 12 affirmations that can transform your life, let me ask you, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you let it fade like just another video? Or will you apply it, repeat it, and live each word with intensity? Let's be honest. What's stopping you from changing your life? Isn't lack of information. It's lack of decision. The question isn't, is it possible? Anymore. The question now is, will you become the person who says these affirmations? Or keep living as if they were lies? If you want results, here's where you start. Tomorrow morning, get up, go to the mirror, and say all 12 affirmations. Say them with faith, with conviction, with intention. Make it your ritual. Write them down. Stick them on your wall. Set them as reminders on your phone. Because words have power, but only when put into action. Now I want to hear from you. Which affirmation hit you the hardest? What's the first action you're going to take starting today? Leave it in the comments. Let's talk. Don't just be a viewer. Be the author of your new story. And of course, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, and share this video with someone who needs a wake-up call. Because real change starts on the inside, and success is a daily decision.